are there some common characteristics or habits that you've seen students and traders who succeed really have?
So great question, because this is actually tried and true. I've seen this now in the last 15 years. There's a couple things that are super important. It always helps if you're super smart and all this kind of stuff, but that doesn't really matter for trading. What I have noticed is, number one, resilience. All right. You take some hits to the nuts. Okay. Most people, they take a couple hits that day. What do? Oh man, I had a bad day trading. I'm gonna get a pizza and relax. Hey, I had a bad day trading. I'm gonna go to the bar and get my mind off things. That was me for many years. Hey, I had a bad day trading. I'm going to do this. Or even right now, I see it like a lot of people. I have a bad day trading. I have a bad week trading. I'm going to not trade tomorrow. Like, I'm going to take a mental health break. I'm going to take because I'm on tilt, I'm going to take the day off. Fine and dandy, all these kind of things. But what I have noticed is that, like, the traders, like when you're taking the hits in the beginning, the person that comes in is like, oh man, I had a bad day trading. And they might go out for a couple hours and do whatever. But then they get back at night and they actually do their trade journal, right? They actually do their scans. Like, they actually do their work. And then the next day they get up and actually trade. Now, you don't have to trade full size or anything like that. You can go 1/10 size, but you don't earn a vacation day from taking hits to the nuts, right? A lot of people, they trade bad. They're like, I'm taking some couple days off, recharge myself. It's like, no, you don't get a vacation because you stink, right? But the resiliency really matters. Will you do the nitty gritty, that boring stuff, when you are losing? And it becomes so important, because you know what? It is very easy to do your journal when you made a bunch of money, because it's just an ode to yourself of how awesome you are. Hey, I made $1,500 today on these two stocks. Oh, I could have done this better. Oh, I could have done this, right? And so it's like just a nice, fluffer for yourself. But when you do that journal, when you make mistake after mistake, some of them you can't even look at a chart and point like why you made these mistakes. Like, there's no technical reason, there's no fundamental reason you made these mistakes. It's just you screwed up, right? And you screwed up bad. Can you journal your trade then and pinpoint in why you did these things? Beyond the technical things, like what else was going on? Did I not sleep enough? Was I fighting with my girlfriend? Was I just in a bad mood? Was I feeling myself? Was I getting a little too cocky? Whatever it is. Can you do the boring work when you don't want to? That's resiliency, right? Can you go through and sift through 1,000 darn stocks that night when you don't want to? That's resiliency. And I think that really matters. Beyond that, the second part is, I think, adaptability, flexibility. What we have learned in 2022 and the end of 2021 is that if you are a one-trick pony in the market, you will lose, and you will lose a lot. So the market was easy for long periods of time, from 2009 till basically the end of COVID. The market was easy. There were periods like in 2015 where the market flatlined. It was just led by 3 or 4 stocks that were tough and you were grinding it out. There was a debt ceiling thing in 2011, so on and so forth. There were pockets of, okay, these were trying times. But in the end, the market was just going up the whole time. So you got all these one-trick ponies. And COVID really brought out the one-trick ponies. Hey, I just buy options on this because it's going up, and I just hold. If it goes down, then I just hold it overnight. It'll gap up the next day, right? Or I trade these small cap breakouts, and I draw a squiggly line, and I buy it because it goes over, and I make money. Well, 2022 taught you something, which was, hey, if you're just a line drawer, you don't know how to trade. And what we saw was a lot of people, I have friends of mine, students of mine too, sadly, that had made millions of dollars trading 2020, 2021, that lost it all. A couple of them were looking for jobs, right? So adaptability is huge. Okay, in 2000, begin 2021, 2020, you could do XYZ patterns. You're buying breakouts, stock caps up, it's got some news out. You don't need to read the news because you're too lazy. And then you draw a line and it goes over and you buy and you make all this fucking money, right? And so these guys are shredding, right? And when the market is supremely hot, sometimes the dumbest people with the highest risk tolerance will make the most money. That's just how it goes. But the markets change. And so 2022 taught us something, which is, hey, every single thing that worked in 2021 and 2020, none of them worked. None of them worked. So then everybody's complaining like it's a tough market, tough market. It wasn't. The market in 2022 was fairly linear. You were shorting XYZ type of stocks. There were rollovers in tech stocks like UPST, Affirm, so on and so forth. But the patterns just turned opposite. So like in a bull market, like we do these things, right? Like me and Nate invented some of these things, right? Like you do red to green moves on bullish stocks, right? In a hot market. Well, when the market shifts, the red to green spot is the exact specific spot you short. It's a small adjustment, but you have to know that, right? And so what you have to be is adaptable, because if you're actually watching it and you just see it over, maybe you don't get it right away. But if you're watching it, you're taking notes, you're being adaptable, you're being flexible, and not so stuck on what made you the money, but what worked, then you'll realize that, hey, the thing that I was doing, I just got to do the opposite. But nobody was doing that except people that had the experience of, going through many years of these kind of things. And so you have to be really flexible and adaptable to, hey, I may have 1, 2, 3, 4 setups that work. Well, what do I do when the market shifts? Will those setups work? They probably won't. Will there be new setups? Do I do the opposite? So on and so forth. And so it's really, really important to be flexible and adaptable, because you may make millions of dollars doing one thing, two things. When the market even has the slightest shift, those things will not work. And you have to recognize those things. And that's what keeps you in the game long term, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, so on and so forth.